In this segment of Gay Bar Takeover, we're going to be meeting Salvatore Mule, better known to locals as Salvo. He started his career in real estate and has evolved into bar ownership here in Wilton Manors. Welcome, Salvo.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. It's always good to see you. I love your bubbly personality and your passion for what you do. So tell us a little bit about how this young guy 35 years ago came over from Sicily, not knowing people in the United States, lands in Fort Lauderdale, and starts on this journey that ends up in the bar business.
Oh, I'll do with pleasure. Let me correct a couple of things. I was living in Rome right before I came to United States, and I was an employee of Alitalia airline, which is the local Italian airline. So I ended up in Chicago, where I lived there for 4 years.
Wow.
So after 4 years in Chicago, I got the opportunity to meet the love of my life, and he had a place in Fort Lauderdale. So useless to say, I jumped on a plane and I came to Fort Lauderdale. Once I got here, I totally fell in love with Fort Lauderdale. And I never left. I've been here for 34 years.
So 34 years ago, the love of your life dangled a carrot and said, come on down to sunny Fort Lauderdale. And you came to visit. And at the time you were working in the airline industry. I'm guessing that maybe Fort Lauderdale's climate had some impact as well, because Sicily is not used to Chicago weather, right?
Remember, coming from Sicily, which is more or less very similar to Fort Lauderdale, South Florida, so it was easy for me to get used to the Fort Lauderdale weather than Chicago weather, which was terrible. I mean, I love Chicago by all means, but the weather was not exactly what I wanted. So I found my word. I quit the airline business with all the disappointment of my family and friends, because, in Italy, you never leave a secure place for the uncertain. But I was confident that Fort Lauderdale would offer me the new life that I wanted. And therefore, I came down here after I quit the airline in Chicago, and I start thinking about what can I do. Martin, my partner, was involved in real estate, so I thought that real estate would be the easiest way for me to begin. And I became a realtor. My real estate took me in the right place at the right time. In 1991, here, real estate was blooming. Gay was starting coming, and here I am in the middle of the really good time. And like every realtor at that time, we really become very successful, and little by little you change from the status of a realtor, you become a broker. I opened my own company, which was Ocean Wave Realty. From my own company, I got put up with this, 32 employees, too many, too much work. So I decided to quit and become an employee of another company. And little by little, I move up from residential to commercial. I started investing in real estate, and so on and so forth. And now I know where you want to get, and I'll get you there. I came to Wilton Manor. I bought along with a partner of mine, we bought a shopping center, which we named it Rainbow Plaza. Rainbow Plaza is now the home of Eagle Wilton Manor, the club that I founded and I own. Before Wilton Manor was, as you know, Club Silver, and that's your job now.
Well, Wilton Manors is a really dynamic market. And as you know, because you moved here roughly 1990. So in 1990, Wilton Manors was virtually nothing. There was one bar in the building, in the space that you're in now, which was called Chardy's. And there was a mostly lesbian bar about a block away that was called JJ's Other Side.
Which I've never been on the other side. So,
and that was it. That was the whole scene for Wilton Manors. And in fact, I would guess if you look in a Bob Dameron's guide or any listing for that time frame, they would have been counted as Fort Lauderdale. It wouldn't even say Wilton Manors. They would pretend they were in Fort Lauderdale.
That's very true, because people didn't know Wilton Manor. They knew Fort Lauderdale. Actually, when the gays started moving in Fort Lauderdale, they moved to a small little old neighborhood called Victoria Park.
Right.
And that's where the gay community started.
Yeah, and even as far down, we're now down right at Las Olas. And even in this area, there were some gay bars back then. There was, I think Cathode Ray was right around here.
Cathode Ray
the Marlin
was
Beach wasn't far away.
Yeah.
This area was a little bit more.
And the Copa, don't forget
the Copa on Federal Highway. And in fact, it's kind of funny that you mentioned that, because the building that you had, Rainbow Plaza, houses the real estate brokerage for the man who created Tangerine and the Copa, John Castelli. His offices are right in the end of the building. So you were already tied to Fort Lauderdale history.
And now I'm working for him.
So, but at that time, Wilton Manors was not very well known. The real estate market in Wilton Manors, as I understand it, was down at that point, because not long. When did you buy that plaza?
That was in 2016.
Okay. So 15, 20 years earlier, when Georgie came in and opened the Alibi, he describes that place as a wasteland, as a, nothing there. Half of the stores were empty. So between 1997 and 2016, it started going up, and you ended up with this building that had one of the oldest gay bars that's still in existence. The building still acts as a gay bar. And you purchased that building. Over the course of your time being there, who was your first tenant there? Who was the tenant in your space when you bought the building?
Was a guy that came from Paris through, I think, Beirut.
Wolf.
And it was called Wolf.
Yes, which was the first, to my knowledge, international gay bar in Wilton Manors. They had a location in Paris and a location in Beirut and a location here.
Correct.
But obviously that did not last very long. And then was Southern Nights next, or who came right?
Southern Night was next. And they left about a year each before I took over. And then Southern Night, as you know, ended up in December 2018. I took over in December 5th, 2018. I got the key of the club. And I called my partner and say, well, hello, we're now the proud owners of a gay bar. What are we going to do? I have no idea. That's how I started.
So one night you're the landlord for a gay bar. The next night they owe you money. You end up with the keys and the liquor license, and now you have to figure out what to do with the bar. Now, Club Silver, as I understand it, and you can explain more what it was like, but it sounds almost to me like Club Silver was your modern interpretation of Chardy's as kind of an upscale
Correct.
dinner and entertainment club for mature men who wanted to have a nice evening.
Obviously, the name itself says silver indicate the silver's hair, silver dairies of silver hair. And the name was given to me, matter of fact, by one of the oldest guy that still work on the drive, is a bartender now for Tropics, and was his name is Frankie Caputo. Frankie came to me and he said, "I have a great name for your club. We're gonna call him Club Silver." I said, "You know what? I like it." So he was the one who gave me the name, and we call it Club Silver. Of course, if you know Frankie is a very glittery guy, so he made the club really shiny and silver. And that's what the particularity of the club was, Club Silver.
And it had a full dinner service and everything, right? It was a full restaurant type?
No, the restaurant was closed already with 3 bars before.
Oh.
When Chardis closed, they moved Chardis to Federal Highway. Chardis practically was taken over by Bill's Station. Bill's Station didn't want a kitchen, so they closed the kitchen. They left everything there, but they closed the room and never to be used again.
And that was Bill's Filling Station, which then changed their name to Bill's, which then changed their name to B's, and then boom, they're gone.
Gone. They were very nice. I remember the place. The only thing I didn't like was too much smoke. I remember I walked in one night, I said, I cannot be here. And
well, a lot of people watching probably don't realize some of the experiences we've had, but going back into the 70s, 80s, 90s, you could smoke on airplanes. So smoking in a bar was a very normal thing. In fact, back then, one of the most popular promotional items was for a bar to have books of matches with their logo, and then you could write a name of somebody you met inside and hand it to them.
I do remember those times.
But of course, today, that's not the case anymore. So you decided at this point, you're opening Club Silver, you're going to have a club for gentlemen that's a little bit nicer and a little bit more upscale than some of the other hole-in-the-wall type bars. But still, you have to remember that this bar is over 8,000 square feet. This is not your neighborhood, little bar with 12 bar stools. This is a huge space.
And the very first day we opened, we were full. We got the license by the city signed at 10 a.m. on December 31st, exactly 26 days after I took over. And at 10 o'clock p.m., we opened the doors.
For New Year's Eve.
For New Year's Eve.
Wow.
We had a full house that night. Then my partner and I, we look at each other, I say, okay, now it's going to be the real proof whether we are successful or not. We have to wait for the Friday night in Wilton Manor. Friday came, around 4 o'clock, we were already to open. I took a glance outside the door. There was a line form to get in of all wonderful older men. And I said, well, I think we made it. And we did. Our first Friday, between the people who stay, leave, going in and out, we had 1,500 people during the night from 4 o'clock p.m. until 10:30 at night. That was the first real business day.
Yeah, because everybody on New Year's Eve, everybody's out. You can't really judge your success of what's going to happen in the future by one night.
Exactly.
But a Friday night after New Year's, that's a different story.
Yeah, we were the only one. I had people come over to me and he said, thank you for giving us a home. And that was very, took my effort was rewarded by those words. And we gave a home to the older crowd of Wilton Manor that didn't have a place otherwise, because Tropics took over by somebody else who named Tropics Grill to focus more on the restaurant side and not on the bar. Therefore, those older men, they didn't have a place to go. They were like a little bit here, a little bit there. until I opened. So everybody came to us. That was really rewarding.
So how did it go after that, the following weeks? Did it continue to be busy? Did
Absolutely. It continued to be busy, and we stay busy the whole season, no stop. Then after the June, we had the Stonewall Parade, the Pride Parade. And after this, as you probably know, Khan Bashir came in town and he purchased Tropics Grill, and he turned into Old Tropics. For some reason, the old man felt compelled to go back to what they called their home before Silver. So we kind of divided the clientele between them and us, which for me was not enough. So I decided that it was time for me to change the concept. And that's when I started thinking about something else. I look around, something missing, Eagle, fly through me.
Well, before we get to the Eagle, one thing that I want to say, maybe, see if you'll agree or not, but I'm going to guess that the reason they went back to Tropics, besides being an old habit, is that Silver was too fresh. It was too glittery and flashy, and that Tropics has a very, it looks like it hasn't been remodeled in 30 years. So it felt like an old friend as opposed to a new shiny hotel.
Yeah, you may be right. Maybe, it's a point of view. However, the first things you said is an old friend. They used to go there. They've been there for many years. Now this new place came about, glittery and music and every day something different. And they love it, but their one was like, the Linus blanket they were used to. And they were back there. And I got to tell you, with all the love I have for the old people, but for me it was a blessing.
Absolutely. And that's something that we should probably mention at this point. So we've talked about Salvo's career evolving through real estate, from being a real estate agent to being a broker to being an investor in commercial and residential properties, and stumbling into the bar scene. Not intentional. He did not wake up one day and say, you know what, I want to own a bar. It kind of fell into his lap. And he said, how am I going to make this work for me? How am I going to make money now that I have the keys and the liquor license? And the first try, the first attempt was Club Silver. But after that started to fade a little bit, and you had this, share your clientele with Tropics down the street, you sat down, scratched your head, and said, I'm a businessman. I got to make this work. So what am I going to do? And what was that process like? How did you go through that?
Well, that's exactly what happened. I thought about changing the concept. I look around what Wilton Manor will need. And there was already beer bar. There was already disco. There was already a neighborhood bar. There was already Tropics back. So there was a little bit of everything. The only thing missing was a community, which is a big community called Leather Community, which is not my type of community, because I come from the silver, quiet people. And for me, I have to learn again, like I did with the first bar, to what can I do with this new concept. So I put out there the idea. A couple of people came about. They said I called them. They came for an interview. I say, can you manage something for me called Eagle? They were really thrilled. They helped me out. And that's how Eagle came about.
Now, I remember the first time, and this was before I'd ever met you, before I even knew who you are, the first time I walked into the Eagle in Wilton Manors. It has an entrance on Wilton Drive. If you see that entrance on Wilton Drive, you would swear that the bar was about 100 square feet inside. The whole opening is about this wide, and that's all you see. There's a huge sign on the roof, and you think, wow, their sign is like 10 times the size of the bar. So I went in there on a weeknight, not knowing anything about it, and I thought, this is a kind of tiny little bar. I was wrong. Once you go through the next opening and the next opening, the gift store in your bar is bigger than a lot of bars. Just the shop that you have back there. And again, we're talking about 8,500 square feet of space. At one time, it went up almost to 10,000 square feet under Chardy's when they also had the patio at what is now Myth. It was Courtyard Cafe.
Yeah. And that's where the opening, sorry if I interrupt you, they opened on the drive, because there was not open on the drive when there was Chardy's. That's why it's a small opening. The big opening is on the back, on the parking lot. And that was the main entrance of Club Silver, the main entrance of every other bar before.
Right.
When I was ready for Eagle, we need an entrance on the drive, and that's how it was restructured. They took a small little portion of the courtyard, cutting the entrance of the courtyard, so we can have an entrance for our bars.
Now, traditionally, Eagles would prefer to have the entrance on the back. In most cities, the Eagles are not in the middle of all the other bars. They have their own location, maybe an industrial area, or, a few blocks away from the gay strip, because some of the Eagle people like to be more discreet, not be seen coming in and out in their leather or whatever. But this Eagle is right in the heart. It could not be any closer to the center of activity in Wilton Manors. And it's just amazing how well that bar has done. Now, on the back, you mentioned the main entrance is on the back, and it still is. But if you look closely, especially if you happen to be by there in the daytime, there are two entrances on the back of the Eagle, the main entrance and a smaller entrance over to your right. The smaller entrance canopy, the awning over the door, you can still see the shadow of the letters that says Chardy's. You can look, if you look closely, you can see where they pulled the letters off.
Absolutely. So and then was silver, and now it's Eagle. Yeah, there was a little bar, and now we call a Bear Cave. I call Bear Cave because I wanted to give not only leather community, but all the community a space inside this big space that I have. So the little bar was very intimate, very nice, and the bears need a place for their own to call. And that's where Bear Cave came about.
And so much has changed over the years. When you and I first went to a gay bar many years ago, Eagles were very, very hardcore leather. A lot of them had very strict rules. If you're wearing tennis shoes, you can't come in. If you're wearing cologne, you can't come in. If you have any jewelry that's not made of chain link, you can't come in. If you're not wearing leather, you can't come in. But over the decades, that has evolved. And like several other Eagles around the country, the community is expanding. In the 60s, the 70s, the Eagles did not have a pup community. There were no people running around in pup masks and pup collars at the Eagle because that community wasn't part of it. Now, your Eagle and the one in Atlanta and several others have a much broader spectrum. So even though you have a very specific code-restricted area on the weekends, which is designed for those hardcore leather daddies, your bar attracts people from all walks of life and all ages. I've seen people in there from their 20s to their 80s or 90s. I've seen people in there that were thin, fat, tall, short, male, female, non-specific, non-binary.
Well, when we decided to use all the space for an eagle. As you know, eagles are usually very small and intimate, but now I have so many space to use. And it was normal for us was consequently, for us to think that we want to attract as many people, as many culture, as many community as possible. So we focus on the main area with the music. Music for us is the most important thing in our place. And we spend a lot of money to make our dancing area, main bar area, really to attract everybody, from the leather to the bears to the any community that enjoy the music. Then we have a bar called the Code Bar. The Code Bar is exclusively dedicated to the leather community. So with the code, with the way they have to be, the way they have to behave, and so on and so forth. We have the bear cave. We have the dance floor, and we have a nest bar, which is like a transition. It's okay, let's meet there, and then everybody go in its own way.
Yeah.
So which is, that's what we try to accomplish. Utilizing the space for the best and most possible.
And I have seen an amazing variety of events and vibes there. Sometimes you go in there, especially on like a Saturday night, and you have the code room, which is highly enforced. I mean, you couldn't walk in wearing that shirt. You'd have to take your shirt off to walk in the bar, in that section of the bar.
Even being the owner,
right?
If I happen to be there and go through the code room, which we have our office back there, I have to take my shirt off.
And that's only fair. I mean,
well, not that I mind.
The rule, I know. And trust me, we'll put up a picture of you from Pride this last year, showing how you present yourself in the Pride Parade. Which I think, by the way, is that whoever took that picture should get an award.
Oh,
that black and white picture with you at the convertible?
His name is Corey. Is Chuck's, my manager, boy's friend.
Oh, I've met him. I've met him.
He's a wonderful guy. And he's a great photographer. That's
a great picture. But, you know, I've seen all kinds of different vibes there. I was there for your birthday party last year. That was almost like being at an upscale restaurant that night. And the people that were there were dressed completely differently. And then you go there on a weeknight and you get a little bit different mix of people. But it's a great vibe always. And one thing that I noticed, and I mentioned this to you last time I was here, unlike so many bar owners, and especially in the Eagle or Levi leather bar scene, you've had that bar for about 5 years now. The Eagle.
We just celebrated our 5th anniversary.
And you've already been remodeling it. You've already put new, fresh coat of paint, fresh decor, change things around, move things, and keep it fresh. There are some leather bars and some Levi bars that have been out there that have not been dusted or mopped in 25 years. And yet you keep it fresh. You always want to make it look like it's...
People want to see things changing. They don't want to go to a place and feel like, oh, I was here 10 years ago. There was the same people sitting on the same spot right there at the bar, drinking the same drink and talking about the same things. No, we don't want this. We want a continued evolution of the place and the ambiance and everything that comes with it.
Another thing that you do differently than a lot of bar owners I've seen, and I have been in a lot of gay bars in a lot of parts of the country, and the one thing that I've noticed that you do, we talked about this briefly a little while ago, but you have really capitalized on the concept of your logo and your merchandise. Most gay bars, you have to go ask a bartender, do you have a t-shirt, or do you have a ball cap with your... You have a store, a nice size boutique in the bar where people can choose from dozens of styles of t-shirts, ball caps, other accessories like harnesses and leather wristbands and all kinds of merchandise. And that is something that you don't see in a lot of bars. But you've taken that from your business experience and your own common sense and said, I'm going to make this another way to make my business more successful?
The store is complete. Again, utilizing the spaces and complete the experience of a leather guy or a bear or any other visitors. Complete the experience. They have the possibility to purchase something to remember, memorabilia, the momentum. And we have a lot of visitors from all over the States, and we have international visitors as well. And they love our place. We are very proud of it.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, I have a couple of the Eagle t-shirts. One of them has your logo in kind of almost a chrome metallic finish on a black shirt. When I wear that shirt, people just stop me and ask about it. They're not, it's outside the normal, black and gray or camo and beige Eagle mindset. They see that and they're like, wow, that looks really sharp, and it draws more attention.
But that's the evolution we were talking about.
Right.
Eagle is no longer identified exclusively with the dark room, with the dark clothes, all in black, all in the kind of metal that you're talking about. Now, that's the evolution of the community. We have to open ourselves to the rest of the world. We even got, for a period of time, drag queen show. So that's the extreme of what would be Eagle. But I understand that drag queens are in Atlanta, they are in Dallas,
yes,
they are in New York, they are everywhere. So that's the evolution of what we were talking about before. Eagles is no longer an exclusive, dark, underground room.
Right. And when we first started coming to gay bars, my first gay bar experience was in the late 70s. And when you first went at that time, you might not have been aware of it because the whole community concept was so new. In 1970s, if you were going to a gay bar, you did not have TV shows and books and magazines everywhere to tell you what to expect. So whatever you stumbled into, you assumed that was the way it was. And so many of those bars back then, when I think about them, were very segregated. They might have been all white men or all lesbian or all, leather people. And we didn't think of it as a bad thing. It was just, that's the way it is. But now the community has expanded so much, and there's so many more people identifying, as pansexual, bisexual, non-binary, lesbian, gay, trans, whatever, that in order to service the whole community, you have to have that kind of, you don't want to sound like you're being prejudiced and I'm only going to allow white guys in leather to come in my door.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But it's worked out very well for you. So as a businessman who made his career in real estate and investment, were you surprised when you stumbled into the bar business that you are as happy and as successful as you are with that?
No, I had no idea what would be happen. And for me, it was a surprise. But then again, I think I have a good business mind. And I look everything under the business aspect and find the way to make it work. And that's what it's all about. And I think I did it. As a matter of fact, you probably want to go to the point too. I'm continuing to do this. I have a new adventure coming up.
Well, yeah, we were going to touch on that. So, for 30 years or so, Salvo's focus was on real estate, whether it was selling an individual house or leasing a commercial space or investing in a piece of commercial property that he would either rent out or eventually sell. No matter what the situation was, it was all focused on real estate. And I know you keep some of your real estate holdings and you're still involved in that, but your passion for the bar scene, for the entertainment scene has become pretty large. And right down the street on the same Wilton Drive, there was a building there that served for years as a restaurant, and most recently known by the kind of tongue-in-cheek name, Tie Me Up, which was a Thai restaurant.
Very smart name, I have to
Very
say.
smart marketing for Wilton Drive. Surely.
Exactly.
And they moved out recently. And lo and behold, the man behind the Eagle, who we know personally has a passion for food also, wakes up one morning and says, you know what? I want to move there. I want to add a business there. I want to have another retail or another space on the drive. And now you're opening Salvos.
Yes. Well, cooking is my passion. Love for the community is my second passion. And now that I discover the service business, I was propelled to have something more. So I experienced almost everything in the section of the gay business, but the only thing I never had was a restaurant on gay business. Although I ran a restaurant in Pampano one day with another partner, so I said to myself, maybe we need a good Italian restaurant. So when I kind of talk around, everybody agree with me that a good Italian restaurant would be welcome in a community, in a gay community, that would not be just pizza or it would not be just something fast food. So I decided that I'm going to take over this building, which is owned from the same owner that he owned before the shopping center that we purchased 7 years ago. So kind of funny that I ended up with the same landlord. And now we signed a nice lease, and I'm looking forward to put a nice Italian restaurant. And since I lived in Rome many years, I'm kind of loyal to my Roman eagle, which has nothing to do with the eagle, but there is an eagle. So eagle is a fortunate.
I know, it's like
it's a very
an
omen
or something. It was a sign from the heavens that yes, this should happen. It's actually the first thing I said to you when you sent me the logo of the SPQR Roman Republic eagle, and I said, "Oh, so you have to put an eagle in your restaurant too." But really, it goes back traditionally in Italian history. It's a well-established icon of the Roman
2,000
Empire.
years ago.
So it's not something that he tried to squeeze into there. It's just somehow Salvo is meant to soar with the eagles. Now, you mentioned briefly that the landlord now for the restaurant also used to have the space that the eagle is in, and that is true. His name was Tony D, and he and his partner, Charles Melky, owned that same strip and opened Chardes in the same space where the eagle is now. The name Chardes comes from Charles and Tony D. They put their names together and made it Chardes Lounge or Chardes. And when Tony passed last year, his husband, Andy Martin, acquired the properties. And so Andy is now your landlord.
And is my landlord and one of my best friends.
He is a great guy. We love Andy Martin. And one thing I love about what you're doing too, as I mentioned with the Eagle, in a few years of operating, 5 years being open, it's already been remodeled a couple of times, fresh coats of paint, new bar tops, new light fixtures, better sound system, all kinds of improvements. Tie me up, by the time it opens as Salvo's Osteria Romana, probably in early spring, by the time it opens, you will not recognize the outside of the building. When I first saw it, and I don't know what you thought, but when I first saw that building on the drive, I said, it kind of looks like a knockoff of an old IHOP. The way the Pancake House used to have that.
Has nothing to do with the IHOP. Matter of fact, if you know the history of the building, it was a camera store. So where people used to go to have their picture developed and buy the film for the old cameras. That's what it was originally. Then became Kalanga. Kalanga was a very, very good Oriental restaurant, and then Tie Me Up. And now will be Osteria Romana.
So, but in the course of remodeling it, you're completely changing the flavor of the building inside and out.
Everything.
I've seen the drawings of what it's going to look like. It's definitely going to have a presence on the drive. Right now, it kind of almost blends into the background when you drive by. But now, by the time you open, that is going to be a landmark spot. People will see the images. We'll put them up in the video. They'll see the images, and it will definitely have a new design. And inside, it's going to have, we're not going to say exactly how it looks, but it's going to be a crisp, modern take on elegant dining inside with occasional live entertainment and authentic Italian food. I'm guessing your grandmother's Sicilian recipe is going to slide in there somewhere.
Probably one or two, but I do hire an Italian chef from Italy, and all the kitchen personnel will be Italian, so they know how to really make sure that everything smells and tastes Italian. Of course, in the dining room, I'm going to have all local service people. We have a wonderful community of service people in Wilton Manor. Beautiful boys, beautiful girls. So we're going to make sure that we give them a job.
And I'm looking forward to seeing how you're going to transform that beautiful outdoor space too, because that was so underutilized. And that's such a bonus in this
Matter of fact, the
location.
outdoor space is almost double the inside space. I'm going to divide in two. I'm going to make half restaurant. The other half would be a patio for people to have a drink or a happy hour.
Very nice. So we'll have a little bit more space to be entertained on the drive. And of course, in South Florida, here in Wilton Manors, the weather is conducive to being out there. I think there are 4 days of the year that it's a little too cold to be outside. The rest of the time, it's beautiful. So it's a perfect opportunity to expand your space and serve more people. And
you know, after the pandemic, every city, and Wilton Manor was one of the first, open up to the possibility to have outdoor service. And that's probably the only good thing come out of the pandemic. The fact that we can use the space outside to serve. And that's a blessing for us. We have a great place. We're going to put a beautiful cover, a pergola that's going to be huge pergola, like 33 by 30 pergola, with the lighting and covers and everything else. So I hope we can make some good addition to the Wilton Drive.
so, by the way, if you do the math, 33 by 30 is approximately the roof area of 1,000 square foot house.
Correct.
So the patio and the pergola, I have seen the pictures, is going to be stunning. It's not somebody went to Home Depot, grabbed a few pieces of lumber and it's a work of art. So we're really looking forward to seeing what happens there and improving that. And I'm sure Andy is thrilled that somebody that has the vision and the success on the drive like you do is coming in there to, make that even more.
He's very proud, and I hope he will be proud once we open. He will be very happy about it.
I'm sure
I promise him.
I'm sure he'll be coming down for dinner every once in a while, every week or two.
Oh.
Or maybe every night or two.
Well, I hope I can have as many as I can.
So, out of all these businesses that you've operated, what did you take from your real estate career? What talents did you learn doing real estate that have helped you in this new hospitality industry?
Customer service. I think that's the key of everything. There is no business without customer service. There is real estate is service business, is people-to-people business. And that's what I learned everything. I learned everything by dealing with people, socializing, doing business, caring for them, take their side. And that's in any business, whether it's a real estate, bar, or restaurant. If you have been on the other side and you know what you wanted for yourself, when you come on this side where I'm now, I know what they want because I've been there before. So that's what I'm trying to do. Give them what they ask for, what they deserve. Good service, good product, and beautiful ambiance.
And anybody who knows Salvo, if you've ever met Salvo or heard somebody talk about him, he is definitely a people person. I don't know if there's anybody in the city of Wilton Manors, including the mayor himself, who knows more people than Salvo.
Well, I'm sure there is a lot of more people, knows more people than me, but our community is not enormous. So it's very easy to get to know each other, because if you go on a drive, one night I go to a bar, one night I go to another bar. I'm one of those owners, if you want to say this, that I don't go only to my bar.
Right.
I go every night to a different bar, and if any owners on a drive can tell you this, because I'm friendly with everybody. I had a dinner the other day here in this apartment with the 4 business owners.
And the mayor.
And the mayor.
And in his commitment to hospitality, his dining table is round. So nobody is at the end, or everybody is equally spaced around the table. But yeah, I saw those pictures. I know several of those bar owners, and it is a great community. There's so many people that instead of being at each other's throats and saying, no, don't go to the Eagle because you should come to my bar, it's everybody appreciates everybody. And it's kind of like, to me, it's kind of like the food court at the mall. People all come and all benefit from the ones that the other people draw.
Yeah, I learned that the only way you can have fun on the drive is by hopping. And hopping bars is something that has been always giving a lot of interest. I remember I was in London many years ago. There is a street of bar they call pubs, and they are owned by the same person. And I say, don't you want to change your location and open a bar somewhere else? I said, no. I wanted the money from the guy that hopped from one bar to another. I want his money. For every drink that he buy, you have to be on one of my bar. That's what he told me.
I've heard that before. I interviewed a bar owner who is from Atlantic City, New Jersey. And 20 years ago or more, he owned 9 or 10 bars in Atlantic City, gay bars in Atlantic City. He owned a couple of hotels there, different businesses. And he said to me that when a gay visitor comes to Atlantic City, I wanted 90 cents of every dollar he spent. And so that was his philosophy too. But here it's very diverse. We get a lot of different people and a lot of different attractions. But despite the fact that on a short strip of only a mile or so, there are over 20 places that an LGBT person can go in and order a cocktail and be very welcome and comfortable, the Eagle is still successful, and many of the other bars are doing very well. In fact, in the last year, I think there's at least 2 or 3 new ones that have opened up. So correct. It's not, people like to say that the gay bar business is over. We don't need gay bars. It's a dying industry. But there are people like Salvo who have been successful in other industries who could have retired and said, I'm done. I'm going to rent that space and I'm just going to live comfortably in retirement and do nothing.
Well, now that you mentioned.
Are you retiring now? Should we announce it?
No, I can't retire. I will be bored to death and I will not know what to do. Although I like, I play pickleball, I play golf, I like my music, I like to do a lot of things. But I needed to be with people. I needed to be. That's my word. That's what I want to be. And probably I will never retire. What can I say?
Well, we're looking forward to seeing what's going to happen when Salvo's opens on the drive. And of course, once that opens, who knows what's next,
Never to say never.
right? As other entrepreneurs have said to me before, if you're ready when the opportunity presents itself, you jump on it and make it work. So
Absolutely.
if you had a friend who was an entrepreneur who had never been in the bar business before, and they said, "Hey, what do you think about me opening a gay bar where I live in Chicago, New York, Atlanta, whatever," what would you tell them?
Choose the right people that is going to help you. The choice of the people that work with you, I don't like to use the word for you. The work with you have to be the best in the industry. That's the only way you can be successful. You cannot, and I'm telling you, you cannot know everything in every business that you go. You have to rely on other people. That's the secret. Choose the right one, and you will be successful.
And apparently, you have chosen the right ones.
I'm very proud of them.
So take it from Salvo, choose wisely, be creative, and keep it fresh. And you can move into the gay bar industry, the hospitality industry, and have success as well. Check out the Eagle next time you're in Wilton Manors. And we look forward to seeing you on the next episode of Gay Bar Takeover. Thank you, Salvo.
Thank you very much for having me.